Let's speak now to Phil Clark, who joins me from London. He is a professor of international politics at the School of Oriental and African Studies. Professor, it's a pleasure speaking to you today. Now, both Scott Morrison and Albanese have made their last bids, and it seems like it's going to be a tight race moving forward. Give us some insight into how they've come across, given that they've both had their highs and lows during their campaigns.
It's been a remarkably uninspiring campaign. I think it has to say that one of the things that the Labor Party, the opposition, have done in this campaign is really try to be almost as forgettable as possible. They've often been accused in the past of being too revolutionary with their economic and social policies. This time around, they've tried to make this almost as boring as possible to highlight only fairly minor differences between them and Morrison's government. So that's led to a fairly flat campaign. The polls at the moment suggest that Labor is ahead, but as your report indicated, the polls really have tightened in the last few days. So I think it's going to be a neck-and-neck race going into the vote tomorrow.
Yeah, and inflation, as we've seen, is a pivotal concern for voters and a major issue that the next prime minister is going to have to take head on. How do the candidates' policies differ when it comes to saving the country's economy?
The big difference is really around workers' wages. So one thing that Albanese's been very strong on is that there needs to be an increase in the minimum wage because the inflation that Australia's seeing at the moment is putting a huge amount of pressure on the working class, on the vast majority of working Australians. And I think he has found a point of difference there, that Morrison's economic policies have tended to favour the big end of town. He's emphasised tax cuts for big multinational corporations, mining companies, media firms, and that sort of thing. So Labor, I think, has quite rightly emphasised the need for policies to tackle inflation. But one of the great absences in this campaign has been any serious discussion of arguably the biggest issue facing Australia at the moment, which is climate change. This is a country that's experienced massive bushfires, massive floods, and other environmental disasters, even just in the last 3 or 4 years. It's been remarkable in this campaign that neither party has really put out a visionary or systematic climate change policy. And that is a real concern, I think, for what Australian politics is going to look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
And it's an issue that Scott Morrison has been heavily criticized on, given that he was on vacation during those bushfires that we saw raging across Australia. So, Professor, my last question to you, what are your predictions on the outcome of these elections?
My prediction would be Labor will win. I think Albanese and the opposition will get in tomorrow, but it's going to be incredibly tight. We may even see Labor only win a minority government, which would mean that they would need the support of the Green Party, potentially some independents. The Greens and the independents have played a very important role in the campaign. My prediction would be Labor wins tomorrow, but perhaps only by the skin of their teeth.
All right, Professor Phil Clark, thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour. It was a pleasure speaking to you.